Hello, welcome to my latest video on how to make felted jewellery. Please subscribe to my channel so I can make lots more movies. Follow the links in the commentary below to buy me a coffee if you enjoy this. We're going to be using some aluminium wire, which we're going to put into a length and then make 2 loops, one at each end. We're then going to cover this with some florist tape. I've got brown florist tape here. This will ensure that our wool, when it's wrapped, will stick to the surface. This is a slightly speeded up creation of my wire. I've cut a length about 16 or 18 inches. I've bent the ends to make a loop, stretched this out, covered it with my florist tape, which sticks to itself as it's self-amalgamated. This gives a good surface when we're going to be wrapping the wool shortly. We're going to be using some blue batting. Blue batting has been carded and I've just broken it up into strips. I'm going to attach this by twisting it around the wire, just needle felting in the edges just to hold it secure, and then continue twisting the wool. Some of the video you'll see speeded up and some at normal speed in order to make this a relatively sensible size. The detail will be shown at normal speed. Here we are, just tapping away to make sure that the batting doesn't slip on the wire, and then we're going to continue rolling. Just keep twisting and rolling it on. When you get to the end, just secure it. Then attach a new piece. We're going to ensure that we've got the blue carded batting all over the base of the aluminium wire, which has been covered in the florist tape. This will give us a nice firm surface, and then we're going to use some grey merino wool, which you'll see shortly, and we're going to twist that all the way around at least twice onto the surface to thicken it up into sort of thickness that you'd use for a bangle or sort of serpentine type necklace. As you can see, making sure that the metal loops are coming out at each end. This gives you the versatility to attach jewellery link pins on it if you decide not to have it just as a bendy bangle, which you'll see both of the options at the end. The aluminium won't rust, so it's a really good metal to use, because you are going to wet this in order to wet felt this all together at the end. Here we are, here's the grey merino wool. I'm just taking a piece of roving, just splitting it into about 3 sections so it's not too thick. Again, twisting it, a couple of twists, and just needle felt it on to the end, just to make sure it's holding before we twist it down the length of the wire. And we're going to twist all the way to the end, and then we're going to come all the way back again. Probably 2 twists all the way is around about what you're going to need. As I said, the sort of thickness of a bangle, or possibly the thickness of any of your fingers, is what you're looking to end up with. So if you look at the roundness of your fingers, that's what you're trying to end up with, the thickness on the wire. When you wet this and wet felt it, it will shrink, so you want it to be reasonably chunky to start with. Keep twisting, securing. The merino is obviously all, rather than carded, it's all one length, the direction of the wool, so that will allow you to wrap the wire much more easily, but it does take a little bit more needle felting just to actually secure it when you're actually attaching the new piece. Carded wool is a lot easier to needle felt merino roving like this is a bit more difficult. You can have any colour. What you want is a nice complementary colour to the final embellishment, which you'll see that I've chosen for this one is sort of blues and purples. Some nice variegated wool yarn is what you're going to need to decorate this. When you're sort of near the end, just sort of roll it to get it in a neat shape. If you find there are any bits that look a bit thinner, then just attach a little bit more merino, just to try and get it even so it's all the same thickness all the way along. Well, this will regularize itself once you wet felted it. There we go, we've got a nice long length. Now here's my nice yarn for embellishing, which I'm going to wrap. Mine's a little bit tangled. I'm just going to secure the first part of it by needle felting in. This one's got little bits of loops hanging off of it. It gives a lovely texture at the end. Can't tell you where I bought this because I got it free when I purchased something from Natasha's Textiles, and therefore I don't know where it was bought from. But any wool yarn of your choosing, coloured, variegated like this where it changes colour as it goes, really looks nice. And you just keep twisting it all the way around, basically just wrapping it around. Then you're going to go up to the edge, make sure it's tight, and come back down. If you do it on the diagonal each time, then you get lots of crisscrosses, and this looks really nice when it's wetted and felted. What you're basically making is a sort of rope cord, but it's been supplemented by the wire inside to give you the ability to bend it and give it some stiffness. And you're covering all of that, and then we're going to felt it with hot soapy water, which you'll see shortly. Just making sure that I'm filling in all the gaps and that there aren't any lumps of the unevenness to it with the underlying colour coming through, and that I've got the right colours at each end. Now it's got a bit tangled completely, so I'm going to have to cut this and add a little bit more on because I can't untangle it now I've started. So I'm just going to needle felt in the end, just basically tapping that in to secure it. And I'll cut myself a final little bit just to finish off the ends. Well, there's a habit of getting tangled, unfortunately. If you're a knitter, you'll know that. Here we go. Just attaching it. Basically just pushing it with the barbed needle felt needle into the rest of the roving so that it can't come unattached. Here we go, finishing off. That's a reasonably even all over. I've now got my wire supporting my wool roving and embellishments. Two little loops, one poking out each end. Just needle felting away from the loop so the loop stays clear. There we go, and then I'm going to be able to put that into any kind of shape. And here we go. Now we're going to do the wet felting. Just going to lay out my surface. I've got a nice thick towel, and then on top of that I'm going to put some bubble wrap with the bubbles uppermost. Stretch that out. There's my piece of jewellery, the beginning of, and I'm going to put that in some hot soapy water, just dishwasher soap. Immerse it in so the wool all gets wet. Take that out, move that out to the side, stretch it out, and then we're going to roll it. Now all felting is rolling. You basically also got some olive oil soap on my hands to get some slippiness to my hands, and I soap down all of the wool to help it start to felt together. And then I'm going to roll this, roll and roll and roll till all the wool is felted together. A normal piece of felt can take quite some time. piece of jewellery like this is probably only about 15 minutes or so to actually get it felted. It doesn't take too long because you put quite a lot of pressure quite quickly. What's going to happen, the wool is going to stretch a little bit in one direction and shrink in another. It's going to shrink in the way that I'm rolling it. Unfortunately, it's going to stretch sideways and it's going to come out over the loops. So in a minute, you're going to see that the loops start to get covered with the ends of the wool, and I want to keep them so they're visible. So I'm going to show you a little trick of just needle felting the edges back in a moment. You can see I've put the bubble wrap over, so there's 2 lots of bubbles. I'm just rubbing this to get some friction. Friction opens up the scales on the wool and interlocks them. Basically, wool becomes felt. If you think of the scales a bit like fish scales, once they're open, they click together. Now here we have the bubble wrap. Various surfaces that you can use to rub. You can use bubble wrap if that's all you've got. Another one is the one that I prefer, which is a slippy sort of corrugated bath mat, and I find this is really, really useful because you can really push down on it and you can get some friction. I'm just going to add some more water. If it starts to get dry, just re-immerse it and basically just get it wet again. Put a bit more soap on your hands. Keep rubbing that. It's a nice tactile feeling doing this, but give you a bit of a workout. Do be careful the way you're standing. Make sure your table is high enough so you don't get backache. I've actually got a normal sort of trestle table, but I've put it on 4-inch blocks to lift it up so that I don't hurt my back by leaning over the table. If you just keep soaping, you can rub it inside your own hands as well. Basically just keep getting the friction of the wool, start getting it to felt together. In a minute we're going to have just a little look at those ends with the aluminium loops in them. Probably losing the aluminium into the wool a little bit there, so I'm going to just wipe my hands so I can get my needle felting needle, and then I'm just going to tap back the edges, and you'll see this will come into focus a little bit more in a moment. As we sort of zoom in, just going to basically tap back the edges so that the loop doesn't get lost inside the wool. Don't worry if it's all fluffy and fuzzy at the moment. This will disappear a little bit with the wet felting. Just doing the other end. Again, just needle felting it down and out the way. What I'm going to do is put 2 pipe cleaners through the edge here so I don't lose the loop. I wish I'd thought about this before when I did the other one. That way I can hold on to it and make sure it doesn't get lost. Going to get a bit more soap. Get some more friction into this. Rubbing. As I said, you can use the bubble wrap just on its own. I'm using this bath mat. In a minute I'll show you a little sushi placemat which you can use just so that you can see how it works. You don't need to do it in the order I've done. Any one of these will work for rubbing it and rolling it to get the friction, but this is just to show you the various different things that you could use. Speed it up a little bit here so you don't have to sit watching me for a full 15 minutes. And I'm just rubbing away from the edges now, just to try and make the wool shrink inwards a little bit. It's starting to get thinner. Here's the sushi mat. Any little ridged bamboo table mat, you can use that together. It gives a lovely rubbing onto it, and that'll get lots of friction. As I said, the rubber bath mat works really well for me for jewellery. And of course you can turn it around and use the grooves the other way, which you'll see in a minute, which I'm going to do, just to sort of get the final friction. So just having a look, it's still a little bit fuzzy, not much more to go. Turn my bath mat around so the ridge is the other way. Just keep rubbing that, just looking at it, yeah, you can see the Lovely different colours that are coming into it. It's going to be a really nice sort of rope-like necklace or bangle. I think I only used this one as a bangle, and the other one that I made in sort of greys and oranges earlier on today. I'm going to show you how that looks finished as a necklace. I'm going to use my tea towel now. I've just quickly rinsed this before using the tea towel in hot water and then in cold and then hot again to get rid of the soap. Now I'm going to roll it in the tea towel in order to dry it and basically to get rid of any of the remaining liquid in it before I'm going to pop it on a radiator to dry for a few hours or possibly overnight. Then I can finish my piece. If when you've dried it it's still a bit fuzzy, you can wet it again and carry on felting it again until you get the sort of smoothness or the texture that you want. I'll show you that shortly when mine is dried and I do the second part of this video. The ends, just pulling those back again, just going to needle felt away from the loops just so that we can keep them available to us if I want to put a little ring in the end, put clasp or put an extra lot of beads to make it the right length, which I might do. I might use some nice cord on the end of this and some beads in order to get it to be the right length. I've been experimenting with lots of different ways to do felted jewellery. Nice small project, so quite nice over the holidays. I did this video just after the Christmas holidays, so we're at the beginning of January 24. There we go. And I'm going to just needle felt in any hairy little bits that are left and bits that look as if they haven't felted in. The beauty of needle felting and wet felting together is they can complement getting a nice smooth sign. Now I'm going to leave this to dry. I'm going to dry it in one long length, not in a curve. I'm just checking what sort of length it would be. Would it work as a wrap round bangle bracelet? And I think it would. The wire means it will fit any size you want. Just twist it around. Obviously you won't have the pipe cleaners in there when it's finished, so that would work. I'm going to leave it dry lengthwise and decide when it's dry whether it's a necklace or a bangle, and you'll see the result shortly. So here are my finished pieces. I'm just push this away a bit so you can see a bit easier. Right, here are my finished pieces. I've got a nice sort of orangey one and one of those. I've decided, because this is the thinner one, that I'm going to use the purpley one as a bangle. So therefore I don't need to catch hold of the little metal loops. So I'm just going to actually needle felt those over, just so that you can't see the loop. Just make sure that that's not showing. It's not sharp because it's just a loop, so just gonna basically just close that up. So you can't see it quite so obviously. Right. And then to make this one, this is very, very simple. I'm going to just push that around my arm, and then because the aluminium's lovely and easy, it's hard doing this in front of the camera, but lovely and easy to bend, I'm just able to bend it quite quickly into shape around my arm, and it will fit anybody's wrist. You can put it close together, just tuck it in. So there, some very quick jewellery, just fits nicely on there. So make sure if you're going to use it for this that you've got the right amount of length, and that looks quite nice, just as a nice sort of bangle to go out with in the summer. And you can just fit it
to your hand. And then when you lift it off, just pull it off like that. And then when you put it back on again, you just basically bend it. The aluminium is very versatile. It's not going to snap. It's quite strong and will allow you to keep reshaping it as you go along. So that's an easy way of doing the bangle once you've got the thing. What I'm now going to do on this one is I can see the loop here. Not quite, but it's almost visible. So I'm going to just get my yawl. Just hook onto that. There we go. There's my little metal loop. So I'm going to tap away from this, and then I'm going to make sure that this is a reasonable hole, and I'm going to get some leather thong. Got that through there so I can see the end. I'm just going to do similar for this one. Find the hoop. Tap away the edges. And then I'm just going to push some thong through the end. So I've opened up the end here. Now I'm just going to push some nice, this is like a suede thong through. That's good. Put some through that side. That side. Decide what length I'm going to want. So like that, something like that. I'll put a few beads on it, so I'm just going to cut that piece off. Spare. And what I'm going to do is see whether these beads that I have here are wide enough. Let's just see. I go through. No, they're too small. So, as I've found that I don't have any beads that are big enough to go through this cord, I'm going to improvise, and I'm going to knot the cord as a way of adding a bit of length to this. I'll do that all the way up. There. A few more ones this side. Normally I'd have probably put some beads on here, but as I wasn't too organised. See if that's the right length each side. One more knot this side, I think. Right, that's a reasonable length. Just give it a bit of extra length there. And then I'm going to put a clasp on the end. And I'm looking at what I've got in my findings box of bits and pieces. Jewellery findings. I've got a couple of these which I think will work quite well. So I'm going to basically cut this off. I'm going to hold that tight. Put my jewellery finding claw on there. So I'm going to hold it together. It's very fiddly, but I think I can do this. And then I'm going to squash it together, which will pick up both the cords, and I can put a little ring through the top. Sometimes you have to improvise with what you've got. I'm not a great jewellery maker. I'm more a felt person, but I'm trying to adapt that to have some more fun with my felt making. Slightly over. Could do with having that slightly across. It's just so I'm going to prise that apart. Just make sure both ends are in this time. Which isn't that easy. Ugh. Fiddle, fiddle, fiddle. Sometimes things do not go the way you want them to, but you need to persevere. Get those ends even. Get that popped over there. 1, 2, 3. Pinch. And pinch. And that's holding that tight. So, get rid of my ends. So I now have my ends done. And I just need a little D-ring in each of these. A little round hoop. Not really a D-ring, but right, we're going to pop that through there. Get the other one. Open that up. Put that through there. Then I need a clasp. Got some old ones from some old necklaces here, just seeing if any of those would work. No, so I'm going to use a clasp I bought a little while back, a silver one, and then I'm going to whip that on that end, get my pliers and close my ring back up. So that side, whip that on there. And then just close that up tight. So those are linked, that's fine. Gives me a nice, easy to do clasp. And there we go.
I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please check out my other videos, subscribe to my channel so I can build my audience and create more free videos. Hopefully you might be interested in even buying me a coffee. Check out the comments below, only £2. Also, these designs can be bought on my Etsy shop, and there's lots of other items that I am making. Please return, come back and see me again. Many thanks, bye.